I'm Nigel Morris-Cotterill, and this is Financial Crime Basics from FinCrimeTV. In this episode, what is a proscribed organization? For the sake of clarity, it's important to make sure that we're using the correct word. In the context of financial crime and indeed politics, the term used is proscribed. The word prescribed is absolutely not related to this topic. A proscribed organization is an identifiable group which a government considers to be a risk to national security and makes orders accordingly. The term organization is used quite loosely, in part because there really is no better term. We can best think of it as an association of people who have a common objective. In this case, that common objective is to effect some change in society, and the means of achieving that objective is terrorism. You will find it helpful to watch the related program, What Are Terrorism and Terrorist Financing? Material Support for Terrorists. That explains more about terrorism and how it is supported both financially and in other ways. The link is below this video. The proscribed organizations regime is best viewed as an adjunct to the sanctions regime, but it was designed to go further than to act to prevent the financial and other support for terrorism. The proscribed organizations regime in the UK arose from Irish Republican terrorism, and it's most remembered for giving rise to the famous quote from Margaret Thatcher when she said something like, "Publicity is like oxygen to terrorists." Following a series of murderous attacks on members of the government and senior civil servants and others, her government made it illegal to promote or encourage terrorism or to glorify it. The media hated it because they saw it as a fetter on free speech, because the initial interpretation of the law resulted in an effective ban on even mentioning the name of a proscribed organizer. The media was banned from broadcasting interviews with leaders and ordinary members of the Irish Republican Army and other groups. The current law in the UK is the Terrorism Act 2000, and there are many, many more groups now proscribed. There is a link to a document containing a list of all the currently proscribed groups in the notes below this video. A similar regime is also incorporated around the world into anti, as distinct from counter, terrorism and national or internal security acts. The material difference between proscribed organizations, regimes and sanctions is that they are more accurately targeted. They relate to direct threats against the country issuing the order, and they're not enforced by other countries unless those countries too make their own similar orders. If we use the UK's provision as a model, this is what is not permitted. Proscription makes it a criminal offence to belong or profess to belong to a proscribed organisation, that's section 11 of the Act, invite support for a proscribed organisation, and the support is not or is not restricted to the provision of money or other property, that's section 12, arrange, manage or assist in arranging or managing a meeting in the knowledge that the meeting is to support or further the activities of a proscribed organisation, or is to be addressed by a person who belongs or professes to belong to a proscribed organisation, section 12.2, or to address a meeting if the purpose of the address is to encourage support for or further the activities of a proscribed organisation, section 12.3. Wear clothing or carry or display articles in public in such a way or in such circumstances as arouse reasonable suspicion that an individual is a member or supporter of the proscribed organisation, section 13. As this programme is scripted in October 2023, this provision has been thrown into sharp relief. Following an attack on Israel on 7th October 2023, Israel mounted a large-scale attack on Gaza. It is generally acknowledged that the attack on Israel was the actions of Hamas, an organisation long listed in international sanctions as a terrorist organisation and proscribed organisation in the UK. This is what the British government says about Hamas. Hamas is al-Din al-Qassam Brigades. Proscribed March 2001, Hamas aims to end Israeli occupation in Palestine and establish an Islamic State. The US government explains the name better. Hamas is the acronym for Harakat al-Maqami al-Islamiyah, the Islamic resistance movement. The stated purpose, that of ending Israeli occupation in Palestine and establishing an Islamic state, is not of itself a reason to proscribe Hamas. However, Hamas has chosen a path of violence. Now, this is not the place to even begin to discuss the politics of that region, but there is one fact that causes a particular problem. Palestine as a state or nation does not exist. As it is not a state, the flag which it adopted decades ago, albeit in slightly different format, is not the flag of a state. Hamas has its own flags. There is a white one for the political wing and a green one for the military wing. And Hamas also flies the flag of Palestine. There is no doubt then that to raise the green flag of Hamas would fall foul of the law in the UK and similar laws. And even this is made more complicated because groups other than Hamas use the white flag, saying that it is an emblem of peaceful Islam. Most countries today do not draw a distinction between the political or even humanitarian wing and armed wings when deciding to take action against such groups. Some governments have also said that to wave the Palestinian flag will be regarded as illegal under the same provision. And at the time of writing, the UK, where members of governments of all colours over decades have been strong supporters of Israel and its actions, has a Prime Minister and a Home Secretary, which have both indicated that flying the national flag of Palestine will be considered support for a proscribed organisation. It should be clear then that the proscribed organisation regime, wherever it applies, and whatever name is given to it, is always a bit fuzzy. The UK is concerned that troubles in the Middle East will spread to the UK, which has a large Muslim population, 3.8 million, and a small Jewish population, 300,000. So the UK has self-interest at heart in its aim to ensure civil order. In other countries, similar laws are used to prevent groups critical of a monarchy, for example, Malaysia and Thailand, or even the government and the judiciary, for example, Singapore and Malaysia. And the use of anti-sedition laws has a similar effect. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow, like, and share, and of course, to keep watching